Danny, what's up, man?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Good.
Actually, we're on a mat.
Right.
You're the first guest of the podcast.
I'm honored.
That we're calling Mat Talk, and Mat Talk is, it happens in every single gym across America.
Yeah.
It's like when the endorphins are flying after someone just trying to choke your head off. It's a place of like sometimes humility because you just got tapped out, or a place that you're feeling on top of the world. Sometimes you can get into Jiu Jitsu techniques all the way from if you believe aliens are real, right?
Yep.
So we'll get into all that and more eventually on this podcast. But let's just start with name, where you grew up, and what led you onto a mat for the first time.
Yeah. So my name's Daniel Knecht. I was born and raised here in Cincinnati. Lived in pretty much the same house my whole life.
Okay.
I did a little bit of martial arts training when I was like really young. But what really got me into it was my dad, who's been, martial artist for longer than I've been alive. And it all started out with, he was sparring with a guy who was a wrestler, and his karate just wasn't helping him as much when he's getting taken to the ground. So he kind of wandered into this gym about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And thought it was really cool and started mentioning it to me and got me to come around about a year ago, and came once and just didn't stop coming.
Okay. So, like, when he started mentioning it to you, did you have, like, a reference for what Jiu Jitsu was at the time? Through Rogan or, so...
Yeah, so, I mean, like, I'd watched Rogan a bit before that, and, just seeing stuff in UFC and all that. I'd always thought, like, if I was going to do a martial art, Jiu Jitsu probably would be the one.
Gotcha.
And, yeah, like, when he first, like, was mentioning it to me at first, I was thinking, like, I don't know. It's, like, a whole extra thing to, like, add onto my plate. But, yeah, it was just that one cold day in February showed up and just got destroyed very first class. And I was like, oh, this is, like, a whole different, like, way of moving your body.
Yeah, I literally remember both of you guys coming on the mat and, like, literally just having a good time together, which was pretty awesome. Like, just laughing through and what we all do, like, what? That just blew my mind, like just a single escape or a single submission just can blow your mind, and often it does just lead to laughter, which is a pretty epic response to someone
getting demolished.
Yeah. So cool, man. I would say so you've been training for over a year now.
Yeah.
What's been the most challenging thing about just continuing to train? And then what's been the most exciting thing about sticking it out for a year plus?
Yeah, the hardest thing about continuing to train is being able to train but not train too much, because especially through the summer and stuff, I was working in landscaping all throughout the week, and then I'd lift weights 6 days a week and then come in here 5 to 6 days a week. So there was a lot of days that I was doing 2-a-days. Mm-hmm. And it was just destroying my body. I was making huge progress, especially in jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. But I'd go home, clean up and eat, and I'd just, sit there and melt into my bed for the rest of the night. I couldn't do anything other than, what I had scheduled.
Right.
And then as far as, continuing to do it, it's really just the drive to get better at it. There's no time where I really don't want to come. Mm-hmm. There's sometimes, where you're just I'm feeling not feeling too good today, but it's still just I know once I get in here and start moving, right, I'll feel better. Anything that's aching will feel all right, and it'll be a good time. Yeah,
movement is medicine. If you can just get onto the mat, usually it's a decent time. I mean, you talked about just how much stuff you have going on, and how much other extracurriculars you're doing outside of here. Engineering student, have a full-time job right now.
Yeah.
Obviously love jiu-jitsu, big into lifting.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, what about your makeup made you just such a regimented kind of guy?
I definitely think it's something I picked up from the way I was raised. Pretty much anything that I showed interest in or that I wanted to do, mm-hmm, my parents were very okay, do that, we're going to fully support you doing that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I just had a really great support system growing up and stuff. Even stuff as simple as middle school, first time doing an actual school sport. Out of nowhere, I'm I want to run cross country, and they're are you sure? You've ran maybe twice in your life. That's a lot of running. Do you want to do that? And I was yeah. My dad was all right, come run with me then. And not just being okay, you can do that, but providing tools for me to do it and get better at it.
Gotcha, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, having that support is something that everyone wishes they had, not very many people do
Right.
have. So, and I can tell, like, your dad, when you went out there, he wins. So
Oh, yeah.
it's pretty cool to watch. And your dad, like, obviously you're cut from the same cloth. Like, I remember asking your dad how old he was for the first time and like getting my mind blown that he's 51 now.
Like 52 probably.
52 and looks like a freaking Greek god. So yeah, it's awesome. Did you think jiu-jitsu was going to be one thing and did it end up being something different?
I didn't really know what it would be.
Yeah, so that's good.
So yeah, it's
definitely
definitely like changed like over time how I see it.
Yeah.
Because it did feel like very heavily is like, oh, this is like martial arts like training, but then like as like more as it goes on, it's like this is a like fun activity that I do, and like it's just a way that I like move.
Yeah.
It's not so much as like, oh, I'm gonna use this into the street to protect myself, as much as
Right.
like I'm just having fun. I can go and compete and have a great time.
That's a cool way to think about it, because I think that is a misconception. Like, people think that it's going to be very traditional in the way that you approach it. But
Right.
you actually show up to jiu-jitsu gyms, it's just a bunch of guys like rolling around with each other and having fun and
Right.
trying to choke each other. Yeah, it's like the sport aspect. It's kind of more of a sport activity.
Yeah.
Versus like a traditional, like, this is a way that it's gonna save your life one day.
Yeah. Like there's no like
But-
rubber knives in here. That
Yeah,
we're working with.
exactly. And I think the coolest thing about jiu-jitsu for me is that how often you could go 100%.
Right.
You know, because coming from wrestling, like, yeah, you go 100%, but it's not as like, it feels more dangerous when someone's trying to choke you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And the fact that you can simulate that over and over and over relatively without, hurting yourself,
Right.
is really cool as
Yeah.
far as the martial arts go. Because kickboxing, you can't spar every single day. Krav Maga, it's not actual active. You can't use a real knife.
Yeah, it's a
you
lot
know?
of just drilling.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
just drilling. So I love that about jiu-jitsu. How do you think? So how important do you think sparring is to getting better at jiu-jitsu?
Extremely important, because I mean, there's only like a certain level, like percentage level, that you can actually hit with your drilling before it becomes sparring. Because yeah, it gets to a point where it's no longer drilling. But then if only one person in the drill is going 100%, and then like the person who's it's being performed on isn't, well, that's not very accurate for like how it would go anyway.
Right.
Because they're going to be giving
Right.
100% resistance
Absolutely.
to your 100% give.
Yeah.
So yeah, there definitely is a point where you just need to start like standing and just go all the way through to a finish, like in a spar.
Yeah.
Because if you're just drilling, you're never going to know what actually works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what separates jiu-jitsu, I think, even in a lot of ways, from actually being able to use it in a real life situation. Although, like, even if you were doing just complete competition sport jiu-jitsu type of training, the fact is you're going against another person, another man or woman, 100%.
Right.
Over and over and over and over again, which I think just adds a different element to just your readiness.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, we got a few quick shot questions. For
Okay.
you. All right. Martin came up with these. Shout out Martin over there. Okay. Back control or mount? Why?
Back control.
Why?
Just because I can't hold mount very well at the moment, and I just love choking someone out.
There you go. And in no-gi, in all fairness, mount's kind of hard. Don't hold
Yeah.
sometimes. All right. Body triangle or hooks?
Hooks. Just because I can control those legs a little bit better.
Yeah, and you have very long legs, which you could do the triangle too. But
Right,
yeah,
right.
I like hooks as well. Strong side or weak side?
Weak side. There's too many options.
Too many options. What do you get more finishes from though? At the moment, just curious.
At the moment, I like faking the paper cutter choke and going to the armbar.
Okay, beautiful. That's it. Oh, do you prefer gi or no gi?
No gi.
No gi.
Just
Yeah.
because there's more options for it.
Yeah. I mean, if for anyone's watching at this gym, we have one gi class a week. So, but cool, man. Go ahead and just tell the people what you got going on. If how much are you planning on trying to compete this year? What are you hoping to get out of jiu-jitsu in this next kind of phase as a blue belt? Yeah, anything you want to leave?
Yeah. So I'm definitely trying to get like a fair amount of competitions under my belt at blue belt. I even wrote out like different goals I have for the year. I want to get a good amount of competitions under my belt for like accurate data points,
Yep.
and I want to keep like a positive win-loss ratio going on.
Okay.
Win more than I lose, and then at least get a gold at one blue belt tournament.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. What do you know what your record is right now? Match
Like
match?
8-3, I think.
8-3, so very positive through white belt.
Right.
I would imagine that's definitely gonna roll over. Yeah, man, I'm very excited to see how you compete. Your whole thing, like, if you've only competed 10 matches live or 11, you still are kind of unsure how good you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it'll be good to just get you more matches and just so you can see, dude, you're a beast, man. I think those goals are all attainable. Cool, man. And then outside of the gym, what do you got going on?
Outside of the jiu-jitsu gym,
Yep.
other than doing some research and development work in the chemical industry, just lifting as hard as I can, trying to put on as much size as I can.
When you first came in, obviously you could tell you were a physical dude. Obviously you were in the gym, but you were 18 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you're only 19 years old. When did you really start taking lifting seriously? And let's just start with that. When did you start taking
So the big point that I started taking lifting seriously was back in 2020.
Okay.
Pretty much right after things shut down. I was
Gotcha.
very blessed to have like a weight set in the basement.
Okay.
Because back in high school, I was very active in track and field doing pole vault and stuff. And that's like a very weight restrictive event, especially because like each of those poles is weight rated. So like after a certain weight, you can't use a pole because you might snap it.
Okay.
And on top of that, each pole is like $800. So a school that doesn't have a lot of
Not
money
gonna put you on that.
Exactly,
Yeah, gotcha.
exactly. So yeah, I was sitting at like the low 170s.
Okay.
Right, like my senior year of high school.
At 6'3".
6'4".
6'4".
Yeah. So very very scrawny. And then I was finally getting to a point where like I felt like I was making progress, and I was like actually going to start like breaking school records and stuff.
Okay.
And then instantly cut away from it because of COVID. And it's just like, no more track for you.
Gosh,
And-
that's right.
right.
When things really shut down.
But then there was like the tiny sliver that, okay, you might get like one meet in May.
Okay.
So from like March to May, I just put everything I had into like lifting weights.
Okay.
To try and be like as ready as possible
Yep.
in case something happened. And then like come like mid to end of April, it was very clear.
Not gonna happen.
You're done. Like
Gotcha.
you're never gonna vault again.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that was the point where I was like very frustrated because something that I had like worked so hard for and was like finally starting to like feel like I was finding my place in it was just like ripped away from me. I literally have dreams at night where like I feel like I couldn't control my car, and it's just like you can tell like subconsciously it's like you feel like you're losing control of your life.
Right.
And like that was the moment just out of nowhere I'm like I'm going to start lifting 6 days a week.
Okay.
And I'm going to track everything I eat.
Okay.
And, there's definitely mistakes in programming, like what I was lifting and like what I was eating. I obviously had to learn along the way, but that's just where like a lot of progress comes is just like, I'm going to figure it out eventually, but I'm just going to like start now.
Okay.
I'm not going to try and like figure everything out beforehand and
Yeah.
then start doing it.
Right.
Because then you're always just going to be like trying to find, the perfect, most optimal way to do something. But then
Paralysis
never,
by analysis.
Yeah, and you've never even started. So it's like sometimes you just have to like get started and know that the first 6 months you're gonna
Gonna be
be
a crapshoot.
Yeah, it's not gonna be anything really worth anything.
So
but
what
you're
was
still
your-
something.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful, like, dude, paralysis by analysis ruins everyone, Just get started, try it out. Same with
Right.
jiu-jitsu, same with talking to that girl you like.
Right.
Like, just go for it. Deal with the mess it leaves later.
Yeah.
But, so I was going to ask, what was the point then? Like, okay, this got ripped away from me. That was frustrating. So I'm going to lift and eat for what?
Just to be stronger and have something that I can control.
Okay,
'Cause
gotcha.
I had
Okay.
I had nothing to do. Like
Gotcha.
at that point, like I was pretty much done with all of my classes for the year, and it's like you have a whole summer where you can't go anywhere really.
Right.
You're stuck at home with a weight set.
Okay,
And
okay.
playing video games all day, like
Okay.
is really depressing. So it's like at least if you like know what you're eating good food, and you're getting some kind of physical activity in the morning. Okay, yeah, you might be playing video games for the rest of the day, but at least you did something productive, right?
That makes sense. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that is something you literally, who else can control more of what you put in your mouth and do with your body than you.
Yeah.
So that is a very controllable thing in life, actually. I didn't even think about that. Eating, no one force feeds you when you're an adult. So cool. And did you start seeing gains pretty rapidly?
Oh yeah.
Because obviously you were an athlete at the point, taking your training very seriously. But when you switched over and got really regimented with both, you said lifting 6 days a week, and then tracking every single meal.
Everything. Yeah. The only thing I wouldn't track would be like a piece of gum. Okay. Where it's like, if you're getting to the point where you're like tracking a 5-calorie piece of gum, like I feel like there's other issues in your life that you're not addressing.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Okay, so now at this point, are you still, so obviously you're still trying to put on size, obviously you're still going that route. Are you tailoring any of your strength training specifically towards jiu-jitsu now? Or is it just like, let's just get stronger and the chips will fall where they may?
Yeah, so definitely more the latter, because I tried, especially over the summer, to try and tailor it more to jiu-jitsu, but there comes a point where, okay, you're training certain muscles and you're like putting a lot of stress on them through jiu-jitsu. So why are you going to go and then take the time that would be used to recover those muscles and then try and hit those exact same like positions again in the gym?
Right.
You're just completely depleting yourself. You're never giving your chance a time to recover.
That makes sense.
So definitely getting like bigger compound moves in and just like moving weight, like heavy weight fast for like a good amount of reps. You're just able to like build overall strength that then you can apply and then like you can fix out the like smaller kinks through your jiu-jitsu.
Well, and I would imagine like you could build all the muscle you want as you're doing jiu-jitsu. It'll probably shave off the stuff that you don't need as much and continue to build upon the stuff that you are building in a way.
Yeah, there's definitely like the big issue of like trying to manage your fatigue. So doing 2-a-days for most of the week is not advisable. Like you can't keep weight on. Because this is like a very this is hard cardio what we're doing here.
Yeah, super anaerobic.
Yeah,
you're gonna lose weight if you're training every single day for sure. And if you're trying to put on size, that's you can kind of plateau out, I'd imagine. If you're trying to get stronger. Yeah, that's a good. I think some people, and you do this really well. Obviously, you're a regimented guy. Like you train 3 days a week. You come in on the Saturday. No, you're right. Yeah, so every other week you do 4.
Yeah.
Well, do you do 4 even if we don't have a sparring day? Do you do?
Oh no. Oh, I thought you meant lifting. I lift 4 days a week.
No, I'm talking about jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah, 3 days.
3 days a week, and then sometimes 4 when we have sparring. But dude, that's really a great way to go about it. If it limits injury for sure because you're giving your body time to recover in between sessions, and it gives you the flexibility to add auxiliary training. Like to actually get your lifting in, which also limits injury, being stronger and having more muscle. And I think auxiliary training that, like, we know guys in the gym, Cornell, we know guys in the gym that, man, if they incorporated a little bit of strength training, they would be surprised how much it helps.
Especially because like a lot of those initial gains, if you're going from like no strength training in your first like 3 to 6 months, you can become like insanely strong, like comparatively to what you were.
Well, that's
true.
All
those like newbie gains.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Newbie gains are amazing. And like you said, how much time we got?
I think like
15 seconds.
Okay.
All right, we'll end there.
Okay.
Dude, awesome. Thank you very much for coming through.
Of course.
And we'll get this out to the world. Thank you guys. Peace out.